What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Baddog back with another New York Giants video. Sorry I wasn't able to do videos yesterday, but again, I do have a full-time job, so it is hard to do things as news breaks, and I kind of figured by the time I got home from the gym what was the point of doing the video. That's why I went live last night to kind of talk about it. But I do want to talk about why the New York Giants should make a run at Kenny Golladay. And there are reports out there already that the New York Giants are very interested in Golladay, as are the Miami Dolphins. Obviously, both of these teams have young quarterbacks, and both of these teams are lacking a number one receiver. Giants fans say, how can we sign Kenny Golladay? We just tagged Leonard Williams. What about all this money they're going to owe him? And do you really want to spend all that money on a wide receiver and all this other stuff? Well, there's a lot of ways the Giants can get cap space. They can get rid of Evan Ingram. And I know, they're not getting rid of him. They already said, listen, Dave Gettleman also said he wasn't trading Odell Beckham. You're never going to come out and go, we don't like the guy. You're not going to get any trade value that way. There is a possibility they could even just move on from Evan Ingram and save $6 million. They could cut Zeitler. They could restructure Zeitler. They could restructure Solder. They could cut Solder. There are ways that the Giants could make room to sign Kenny Golladay at $18 or $19 million a year. Why this is so important? You're going to say, well, he's been injured. Well, I don't want to spend the money on receiver. Well, listen, scared money don't make no money. Scared money don't make no money. You go to that table scared, you go there with scared money, you're going to lose your money. You go to that table confident you're going to win some money. That's usually how it goes, right? You can't worry about that. You can't worry about, he only played 5 games last year. Well, he's been injured. So you Giants fans that are saying, I don't want Golladay because he was injured last year, then you don't want Saquon Barkley back. Because Saquon Barkley's missed way more games than Kenny Golladay has in his career. You don't want Daniel Jones back. Daniel Jones has been injured both years that he started for the years. Both years he's been in the league. There's a lot of players that are injured. It happens. It's part of the game. The Giants absolutely need this number one wide receiver, and it's not close. Guys are talking about, Curtis Samuel, that's a Dave Gettleman guy. Yeah, so is Jonathan Stewart. How'd that work out? I don't want a Samuel over here. I don't want another slot receiver that's going to get $13 million. And, what's the difference? You save $6 million on a number 2 or a number 3 wide receiver? I don't want that. If you're not going after Golladay, don't waste the money on a wide receiver. The Giants absolutely need a legitimate number 1 guy. Kenny Golladay, 6'4". It gives Daniel Jones a bigger target. It makes Darius Slayton a number 2 receiver, which he'd be better off suited to do. And it makes Sterling Shepard that much more effective in the slot, especially if Saquon Barkley does come back healthy. There's no way the Giants can't at least make an offer for this guy. If he decides to come here, that'd be awesome. If he decides you don't want to come here, well, what can you do? But the Giants at least got to take a shot. There's no doubt about it. Allen Robinson got tagged. I'm pretty sure Godwin got tagged as well. I'm not positive about that. But there really isn't another number 1 receiver out there. And they're very hard to come by. You can say, we can draft one we can get one in the draft, man. We don't know what Devontae Smith is. We don't know what Jalen Waddle is going to be. We don't know what those guys are. And who's to say that they even make it to us? Well, Rashad Bateman. You don't know what Rashad Bateman's going to be either. We do know what Kenny Golladay is. Outside of him getting hurt last season, he had 1,000-yard years in 2018 and 2019. Kenny Golladay is a proven commodity in the NFL, right? He has proven what he can do. He can play at this level. We know that. We don't know about that with the wide receivers. And we've talked about it ad nauseum, about how many top receivers fail in the NFL. It happens a lot. There's a lot of top-end receivers that fail in the NFL. Daniel Jones needs to be set up for the most success that he could possibly have. Because the Giants can't have any questions about Daniel Jones going into 2021. And everybody talking about, you got no weapons, Baddog. Then get him one. The other thing that this does, if they do sign Golladay, is it allows the Giants to pick any position at number 11. There is not that necessity to go Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle if the Giants don't feel like they're the best player on the board. I doubt Kyle Pitts is getting to 11. I hope he does. If you imagine Golladay, Kyle Pitts, Saquon Barkley, Sterling Shepard, imagine how nice that would be. Can you imagine that? You imagine that lineup going into the year? They could also go Pat Surtain. They need a cornerback too. If Surtain fell to 11, they could go that way. They could go Slater if they decided to get rid of Solder. They could put Slater right in there in the offensive line as well, right? They could definitely go double up in the receiver category if they decided to go Rashad Bateman at 11, or they decided to go Devontae Smith, and you could add them to the mix. You could definitely do that. There's a lot of things that the New York Giants could do if they got Kenny Golladay, because there's no doubt going into this year, the number one necessity for the Giants is that big play number one wide receiver or number one receiver, which is why I'm so high on Kyle Pitts, because I still think Kyle Pitts can be a number one receiver. He doesn't need to be a wide receiver. I think Kyle Pitts would be a very dangerous weapon inside the red zone. But if you had a Kenny Golladay at 6'4" and you had a Kyle Pitts at 6'6", inside the 20, inside the 10-yard line, man, then you're really going to give the defense a lot of problems, especially with a slot guy like Sterling Shepard. The Giants got to take a chance. I mean, if it fails, it fails. What can you do? He's the best wide receiver out there by far. It's not close. And the Giants need that position more than any other position right now, especially if you want to know what you got in Daniel Jones. Jason Garrett, people want to get on Jason Garrett, say his play calling's bad. Well, Jason Garrett don't have a lot to work with either, guys. I say that all the time. You don't want to give Daniel Jones any blame, but you want to blame Dr. Garrett over here. Well, Dr. Garrett don't have any weapons either. Their best weapon, honestly, is Evan Ingram. It's the biggest mismatch. He can't catch a ball. He can't catch. People are like, give him a chance, man. The guy's been in the league 4 years. This is his 5th year. How many chances does the guy need to prove he's not the guy? Kenny Golladay be the guy. Giants got to make a run at this guy. Giants got to put every single weapon that they can get for Daniel Jones. It has to happen. Because, again, if you have Golladay, then you don't need to worry about that receiver. You don't really need to target that at number 11. Like I said, if there is a Jalen Waddle there, if there is a Devontae Smith, if there is a guy that you really like, if for whatever reason Jamar Chase fell to 11, or they decided they really like Rashad Bateman and they want to pick him 11, or maybe the Giants at that point can even work a deal. Maybe they could say, okay, we got our number one receiver. Now we're going to trade back and get some more draft capital here, and we'll get a wide receiver later, or we'll get our lineman later. Or maybe they'll get their tight end later. I mean, who knows? But if the Giants want to go this route, what Kenny Golladay does, although he's going to cost a lot of money and he's going to hit the cap hard. Remember, the Giants have a lot of cap space going into next year. This year, they're strapped, as most teams are, because the cap went backwards. Next year, the Giants have a lot of money to work with. Kenny Golladay will take a bite out of that. There's no doubt. Leonard Williams will take a bite out of that. If the Giants do sign him long-term, and maybe they don't. Maybe Leonard Williams just plays under the cap this year and then he's a free agent next year. Maybe that's what happens. Maybe the Giants say to him, you know what, you're playing under the cap. We want to make sure that you do it 2 years in a row. Then we'll give you your contract. Or Leonard Williams says, okay, I'll play under the cap, but that's it. I'm walking next year. I'm sorry, they tag. They decided to tag him. So he's going to play under the tag this year. I'm talking about the cap. But I don't know what I'm talking about right now. They tagged Leonard Williams. They could say, Leonard Williams, you're going to play under the tag, and that's it. Or they're going to tag him and sign him long term. But either way, the Giants will have a lot of money next year. So you got to think about the future. You can't just think about this year. Kenny Golladay will fit in the budget next year. But you also want that guy going forward long term. Giants can't take any chances here, man. The Giants have got to get a proven commodity at the number one wide receiver spot, and he's the only one out there. There's going to be a lot of teams interested in him. There's no doubt about that. But the Giants have got to make a legitimate run at this guy, and hopefully they sign him. This is what I want. This is all I talked about, man. I would double dip with the wide receiver. I would take a Golladay. I would take a Pitts. I would take Golladay and Devontae Smith. I'd take the Golladay and Jalen Waddle. Take Freiermuth in the second round. I don't care. I want this offense to get a lot better. It was 31st in the league. The only team worse than us was the Jets. This is Daniel Jones' make-or-break season. So give the kid every single opportunity to succeed. And the best way to do that is by getting a guy in here like Kenny Golladay. Like I said, he may decide he wants to go elsewhere, but the Giants have got to at least throw their hat in the ring and say, we're going after this guy. This is the guy we want. They have to pursue him more than any other free agent out there, because this is the most important part of the New York Giants, like their biggest need going into 2021. Go out there, make an offer for Golladay. And people are going to say, oh, they overpaid him. Listen, the Gettleman haters, no matter what they do, if they don't get Golladay, they're going to hate him for that. If they do get Golladay, they're going to hate him for that. It really don't matter. Gettleman's got to do what's best for the Giants. What's best for the Giants is getting a number one wide receiver in here, no matter how much it costs. Plain and simple. I don't like paying all that money for a wide receiver, but when you have a young quarterback that needs that guy, got to do it. All these guys are complaining about they got rid of Odell Beckham. Well, guess what? Now you have an opportunity. I'm not saying that Galladay's Odell Beckham, but now you have an opportunity to get a guy that is a legitimate number one receiver. Get it done. That's all I got in this video, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. It's Bad Diggy Dizzle, and I'm out. Peace!